Welcome to the Question Response Podcast.
Welcome, everybody. Episode 89. I don't know why I did that. We should do that more often, maybe.
Like announce the episode number?
Yeah, we've been doing this for a while now.
But we don't come up for the titles until later, so...
Right,
like,
but I mean, that's fine. But this is
Okay.
this is episode 89. It is September, whatever, 23rd?
Yeah, it's September 23rd, 2013.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Monday.
I guess it's like, what is it, GTA 5 plus 6? That's what we're at in human history, you know, because that's how we date things going forward.
Right.
I liked it a lot, Paul. I don't know.
That's weird to me. It's not weird to me that you liked it, but the fact that other people love it and you do as well. Because that doesn't happen often.
Oh, okay. I guess so. But I guess it's just like Rockstar just kind of can buy their way to the top now. They just have all the money. So they kind of have that like James Cameron advantage of just like, oh, just spend another $100 million on it.
Yeah, they have the home team advantage everywhere.
Good. Oh, it's still not working out? All right, another $100 million. That'll probably fix it. Boom.
Yeah.
Boom. Like the amount of polish and like bug testing and all sorts of nonsense they can probably afford to do, and then on top of that, just license everything and put it in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Danny McBride, do you want to show up and record a bunch of stuff for our radio show? Yeah, all right. Done.
Okay, why not?
Game. It's just like the little tiny thing in there. Like, I don't know. I just couldn't shake the thought that, like, you know, they have high-profile, big stuff in the game, but they don't need to pimp that stuff, you know? They don't need to sell you on it. They can just put it in there. Because they know you'll buy it anyway, because Grand Theft Auto. Mm-hmm. So the amount of, like, swagger and confidence they just kind of put out there is just nuts. Whereas, like, you know, Keith David's in Saints Row 4, and the reason I know that is because they won't shut up about it. You know? Like, they have to sell me on, hey, we got this really funny joke in here. And you're just like, okay. But, you know, I guess. But, well, I don't know. It's just not the same. It's just, you know when it's the true article, the real thing, the big show. And it's Grand Theft Auto 5. The greatest video game ever made? Maybe. I don't know.
I really don't see it yet. It hasn't pulled me that far.
Fair enough. And I mean, it's crime and gangsters and shooting and all.
No, like, all that part is fine.
Yeah.
It's still... It's the same thing that, like, even though I do like Saints Row, the parts I don't like about Saints Row, which is, like, I don't like driving most of the cars. I'll find a few cars I really like in these certain games because they, like, handle the way I like and stuff like that, so I'll try to go for those when I can, or keep them in the garage, and then it's okay. But, like, I don't like it when they're all of a sudden just like, you have to drive this truck for this mission, and just, like, little things like that. It's nothing specific about these games I don't like. It's just little things like that.
I don't know. That stuff just wasn't bothering me. Like, I just like open world car driving, and, like, I'd swap for different cars all the time, so... You know, I wasn't like, man, the Infernus is so great, this awesome sports car, I'm going to try to drive this all the time. I was just like, whatever. Like, there's a car there. I'll grab that. I didn't do the taxi system ever, like, to skip driving, like the fast travel. I just like driving around. Mm-hmm. And I mean, like, I guess there's, little quibbles here and there. Like, I wasn't totally into all of the radio stations, but you're kind of not supposed to be. You know? Like, it's just like, we put a lot of variety in here, because there's somebody else somewhere that's like, man, what is with all this terrible techno? I want the rock and roll. So they switch over to that, whereas I will never listen to that station.
Whatever happened to, like, Radio X or whatever?
It's like a Mirror Park was kind of the one I ended up going with the most of the time. Like, it's kind of down temp, like low... I don't know what to describe it as. They kind of joke around with it too. It's like post-irony, you know, it's like the hipster in the game. It's just like, hey, we're sorry we're introducing you to all this awesome music before you knew about it, but hey, welcome. And you're just like, okay. Like, it's the douchiest station ever, which I don't know what that says about me and my music taste, but that was but it was so, like, mind-boggling to look at all, like, the little details they put in there. Like, just, like, all the TV show content, all the radio stuff, all, like, the little ambient things going on, and, like, I don't know. There's, like, so much in that game that I don't know. It's just kind of awe-inspiring in a way. Like, and that's kind of why I get that there's, like, high scores, yet in the review text, like, the critic kind of wasn't feeling a lot of stuff. Like, just, like, the review that was, like, earlier in the week, I know Infinite Ammo was tweeting about it a lot, was, like...
I found that really weird, though. Like,
yeah,
it's just, like, really misogynistic, 9 out of 10 editor's choice.
Well, yeah, but, I mean, I actually heard the radio commercial they're talking about, and it's like, yeah, that was kind of a bad joke, but...
Okay, what is it? I don't know. I haven't heard it.
It's a commercial for, like, some sort of self-help book or something, and it's just like... Yeah, when you see another man, like, use your wife as a urinal, kind of changes your perspective on marriage.
Oh,
like, it's
yeah, okay.
Gross little quote, but it's, like, in the guise of radio is shitty and ads and books and whatever. Like, you know, it's not a great joke, though. Like, me being like, oh, it's satirical isn't an excuse. It's just like, hey, my like, observation is more just like, there's, like, hundreds of hours of content in this thing. So that, like, 4 seconds of it is kind of shitty. Who cares?
It's
like,
Dick Wolves.
Yeah, like, whatever. Like,
okay.
But at the same time, it's in this, like, hyper weird, like, criminal underworld game. Like, it's not going to be classy. You know, you kind of have to know that right at the door. So don't play it. Like, a lot of people aren't going to play it. Like, Grand Theft Auto, you should know whether or not you like Grand Theft Auto games by now. Right?
Yeah, probably.
Kind of
yeah.
All inconsistently sleazy and whatever. Like, there's a strip club in every single one of them, and it's like gotten way crazy now. It's just like, hey, yeah, there's just, you know, it's a strip club. They don't wear shirts or bras. There's just boobs, and they're bad pixelated boobs in the game. And it's just like, this is a tradition aging back to Duke Nukem or whatever. So,
sure,
is that strip club misogynistic? Probably, but aren't all of them ever in? You know, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Objectifying women is kind of the point of strip clubs. I guess you could maybe argue, like, why does the story eventually take us there? Like, eventually one of your headquarters is basically that, but spoilers, I guess. I don't know. You spend a lot of time in the strip club by default at some point. But, I don't know. It's just, yeah, that didn't bother me. It just doesn't bother me. I just get into the mold of, like, this is criminal gross game. Let's go, and then everything makes sense from there. And then they're kind of more self-aware about how they're writing their characters this time than ever before, which totally worked, like, solves all the problems I had with GTA 4, where it's like Nico is like, oh man, I'm trying to, like, do good, and then you go kill, like, 80 people. Here, have you unlocked all the characters yet?
No, I've only played, like, 2 hours of it.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Meowth. Strip club jokes. Anyway,
how you spend all your money at strip clubs.
Yeah. You literally can't. It's, like, not very expensive. Whatever. What was I gonna say, Paul? What was I saying? Oh, yeah, I'm looking at all the characters. I don't really get into it that much then, because you haven't met people, but, there's 3 protagonists in the game.
Yeah.
And Michael is kind of, like, written to be in conflict with his violent nature. So it kind of is like, you know, I'll have it together one day, Doc, and then the next thing I know, I'm, like, shooting somebody. You know, like, they kind of write him as this weird, mentally damaged person. And it's goofy in a way, but they kind of have to write it that way for it to make sense with the dissonance nature of gameplay stuff. So I thought it was kind of clever that they just kind of go with that. And then one of the other characters, Trevor, is just a loose cannon, like, crazy psychopath. And in kind of the way that worked in Saints Row 2, where, like, the main character is just evil.
Yeah.
Like, this just kind of makes it, well, it's like, oh, well, at least it's not hypocritical. Like, he is, like,
Is he the cult guy or whatever?
Well, he can drive people out to a cult as part
That's
of his.
hilarious.
But it's just like he is as insane in cutscenes as anything you could ever do in the game, maybe more so. So it kind of just makes it work in a way. Like, again, it's not hypocritical. The one character that kind of tries to feather both, and I don't feel it works quite well, is Franklin.
I already don't like Franklin very much.
Yeah, like they kind of, I don't know. I ended up being just kind of indifferent towards Franklin. Like, he just didn't make me care that much about any of his dilemmas. Like, they kind of have a late minute, like, hey, remember this thing from the beginning of the game, like late in the game, and you're just like, oh no, I like barely remember that. But they kind of try to treat some story beats like they were a big deal when they kind of weren't. And you've already met Lamar.
Lamar, yes. Yeah.
I hate that dude, but they just kind of...
No, I fucking hate him too. I hope he gets shot in the head.
They just make you roll with that guy like a bunch when you're just kind of like, okay.
This is another point of these games, though. I don't like the first couple hours.
Yeah, I will admit, like, even though I'm totally high on it right now because I just finished it and it ends up ramping up real nice. The first, like, 2-3 hours, I was like, oh man, really? Like, they just have me...
They all ramp up real nice, though. Like, every of these open world games rounds up really good. It's the first, like, let's just be average and say maybe 3 to 4 hours, depending on if you're into the game at all.
Yeah, I mean, I was still
it's
just kind of
terrible.
like, oh, like, I was still just enjoying, like, oh wow, this is, like, really detailed, or like, oh cool, they have, you know, this feature in here or whatever. But, like, until you basically unlocked multiple characters, I was kind of maybe a little annoyed with the game. Like, just like, wow, this kind of played it safe. Like, it's just like, you know, crime and driving cars and stealing cars and whatever. Like, it does the total Rockstar thing of, like, there are NPC characters just kind of dicking you around for, like, a lot of the game. And it's just like
if it was like I could do whatever, I would just shoot him in the head.
Oh, totally. I was, like, ranting at the game for a bit because it's just like, there's, like, no reason I can see in this story where you couldn't just shoot this guy in the face right now. And that he was, like, just in the room with you kind of makes me irritated that, like, that wasn't an option. But it's just like, no, like, he left before you could do anything. Or you aim your gun at him and you can't pull the trigger. Like, they kind of do some stuff to kind of make their story happen that kind of constrains you in a way. But I almost feel like that might be on purpose with some of the late game payoff on some of that stuff. But again, that's kind of maybe a bit explicit. But I mean, Red Dead did the same thing where there's, like, characters in Mexico specifically kind of leading you on. And, like, you can see that they're being jerks, right? Like, they're just like, come on, this guy's never going to help me. Like, let's just do this thing. But John Marston is more trusting than you are, I guess. So he kind of just rolls with it for longer than he should, maybe.
Sure.
But they make good on all of it. Like, it kind of works out. But there were definitely some moments where I was like, man, I'm frustrated that this game is not letting me kind of act out how I would in this situation. Like, it doesn't feel against character with the characters. It's just kind of like, I am seeing the mechanics, like the skeleton of the story kind of right now. So I know why I can't, but it's kind of dumb. But I don't know. Like, the kind of wait and see where it goes, like, to tease you to kind of see the next mission stuff, like, totally had me going for, like, all of it. Like, I will say, like, 42 hours in, like, 4 days or something. Like, I just was going nuts on this game. Thought it was amazing. So that's a lot of time of, like, just entertainment value or whatever. And I'm not, like, done with it because I just want to go back and see more stuff. So, yeah. But I guess I'll hold back on kind of any explicit breakdown of...
We'll do an explicit thing, I think, ourselves.
Yeah.
When I'm done. But, I don't know, like, the last little session I had last night before turning it off, I'm starting to get to the point where it's going to take me in a bit more, though. Because, like, up until this point, it was like, this guy, like, fucked Michael's wife or whatever, so we're going to go pay him back. And then, like, you rip their building apart or whatever, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, whatever. This is all standard stuff. But then the last one I did was where you change the prototype to the thing that blows that dude's head off during the conference. And I was just like, okay, they got me. That's good.
Yeah. Like, just kind of like the weird them commenting on like Facebook and Twitter and like tech boom and the recession and all this stuff is kind of neat to see. Like it's super blunt about stuff. Like it's not like I was thinking like a lot of the times I was just kind of in the same headspace as like a South Park episode or something, where it's like this isn't like the most clever satire, but it's kind of on point, and I'm kind of with it. But it's like kind of crude and tasteless.
That's always been the way GTA's done stuff, though.
Yeah. And it's
not clever satire, but it's appropriate, maybe.
Yeah, and I feel like it fits, and it's like thought through enough where I'm just like, yeah, all right, I'm down with that. That's fair enough, you know. I don't know. Yeah. Again, like there's a whole bunch of missions I could kind of start citing and explaining why I thought some work better than others, but I don't know. I kind of don't want to spoil some stuff. I guess I will say like some of the stuff they borrow from I guess incorporated from Red Dead Redemption, like the ambient missions where you're just kind of driving around and he's like yelling at you or whatever.
Yeah,
I kind of liked where some of those went, but at the same time, like one or two of them, I think mechanically I did something weird. Like there was one where I like basically gave this lady a ride. And it took like 5 minutes to drive up into this one area. And then dude starts attacking me, so I just punched him in the face. And then it was like, oh, was I not supposed to do that? Because like it just kind of ended. Like it was like some of these little stories just kind of fizzle out, and they're not exactly missions, so you can't really fail, so you don't know whether or not. Like,
yeah, I did one of those too, where a lady's like, oh god, he's beating her, something help, so I follow her, and then it was an ambush. A bunch of gang guys try to kill me. So I shot all of them, including her, and then nothing happened. They didn't drop money, they didn't drop an item, they didn't drop anything. It was the thing that happened.
Some of them, like, I'm just like, well, was that really it, or did I do something wrong? And it's just
I think they're doing that to make it feel more immersive.
Maybe.
Random little stuff like that. I don't know if it works or not. I kind of don't care right now at that. Like, I'm too busy trying to get into the other stuff where the little stuff like that, I'm just like, whatever for now.
Yeah. I don't know, like there was one kind of stretch of missions that just kind of linked together really nicely, and like it kind of had me impressed with that stuff because it was basically like I did a little side quest where I landed after that side quest. I immediately saw one of those, and then that led to a long drive over to this other area, and then there was another. Like it just kind of it was successfully laid out a trail of breadcrumbs that I was really happy to go down because I was like, wow, this just kind of happened. Like it was kind of. It felt organic, even though it probably wasn't. Like, it's just like, oh, you're in this proximity, so we're going to trigger this now. And then, like, some of the rewards for stuff, like, some of them just fizzle out, like we said. But some are just kind of, like, little things. Like, you'll get a new contact in your cell phone. Or they'll, like, send you an email, and then you can actually engage with some kind of stuff with them. Like, it's kind of like... oh, cool, like, you could have just killed this person, or this could have just not have happened, but now there's actually, like, a little bit of progress, like a little bit of a reward for just having done that this way. And and there's no morality meter or anything, like, you're just dirtbag criminals for the most part, but there's still kind of, I don't know, it's a bit more grounded, like, in that way GTA 4 was, too, where it's like, I didn't want to be crazy. A lot of the time I didn't want to be crazy with the appropriate character. Like, it was like... yeah. It's not in Michael's nature to be crazy, so I would use, like, the taser or kind of just wreck dudes with my car instead of shooting them. But with Trevor, it was like, no, Trevor's crazy. I'm just going to shoot this guy.
Like, and it just he's the guy that steals a helicopter just to blow up a building with a bazooka.
Yeah, and he'll have fun...
and crazy shit.
Yeah, and then, like, Franklin, I wasn't sure what his tone was, so I just kind of hung out with him a bit. It was kind of weird, because, like, Michael and Trevor are, like, complete polar opposite kind of personalities in a way. Franklin is this weird middle ground, so I was never really sure what fit with him, because, like, you'll do a mission, and sometimes he's like, man, this shit's crazy, and then other times he's just, like, shooting people, and you're just like, okay, like, I don't know, you have no moral compass, apparently.
Franklin is basically just CJ from San Andreas.
Yeah, like, it really,
like trying to make it.
Same basic neighborhood, too, and stuff. Like, it's just like, okay, like, this is South Central Ice Cube, you know? Trying to climb the ladder or whatever. And I kind of like how the three characters, like, their stories where they all end up going as a group. But I guess if I had to choose like a weak link, it would probably be Franklin, just because he had like the least distinct personality.
I haven't even met up with Trevor yet, and Franklin's the weak one, so I could see it.
Yeah. But I guess we'll have to kind of pause on that conversation. I guess I'll just reiterate that, yeah, I spent a crazy amount of time with it and enjoyed pretty much, like, I'm going to say 90% of that time was really fantastic. So,
Okay.
I don't know. This is my kind of game, I guess. Like, every time Rockstar puts out an open world thing, I'm there day one, and I like where their head is at in terms of what they do with this stuff. Like, Saints
Even
Row,
if you kind of stumble during it.
like, I wouldn't even consider, like, because there's so many bold steps in their games, like, it's just like, yeah, whatever. Like, I guess, yeah, I will say, like, there was a point where I drove too close to a mission, so it kind of started a mission.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, oh, I don't care. I don't want to do this right now, so I'm just going to drive up this mountain because I just want to explore a bit. And it failed me for doing that. And then when I was like, oh, I don't care, quit, it reloaded me in like a parking lot somewhere. It was kind of lame. Like, it kind of did the thing where it went against the nature of the open world game for a little bit for the sake of its missions, which I thought was kind of shitty. So I guess I feel obligated to mention that that was the thing that happened. Sorry, I'm also eating a Twix bar right now, so just a minute.
Twix is pretty delicious, actually.
Yeah.
I think I'll forgive you, just because it's a Twix. If it was anything else, we might have to have a stern talking, but I haven't had a Twix in a while, actually.
I just did the thing where it was like sitting in my mouth too long, so like the enamel is all like, ah!
Oh, yeah. But then it feels so good when you like clear that shit out with like water or milk or something. Mm-hmm. Something nice and cold. You're like, oh, yeah. Or a coffee even, actually. Now that I think about it.
I'll probably have a coffee after this, but
yeah.
I don't know.
You had a night shift, right?
No, not tonight. That was last night.
Yeah, last night you like got off a night shift.
Yeah, I was 10 until it ended up being only about 4 in the morning.
Oh, that's not bad.
I guess we worked like better, like faster, and got more stuff done than expected. So they just kind of were like, "Yeah, we're ahead of schedule, so you're good." And I'm pretty sure we still get paid for the full 8 hours. So
yeah,
it's pretty
nice.
cool. But
so was it just overtime stuff, or was that a shift?
Oh, that was a shift. I opted for that as a shift instead of one of the daytime ones, just because it's kind of, different. Like, that won't happen often. It's because there's a bunch of renovations going on. So,
yeah. It's also easier for me to work at night than it is to do it during the day. During the day, I'm tired and lazy.
Yeah. No, it was kind of weird. It was just like a lot looser. Like, everyone's just swearing and sharing weird stories because who cares? The store's closed. So it's just like I got a better sense of some of my coworkers' personalities maybe than I would have during a normal shift. So it was kind of neat. That was a good team exercise. I don't know.
There you go. Morale
boost. No, it was fun. We moved a bunch of books because we work at a bookstore.
Yeah.
So, yeah, carts full of books. I like books.
So you did go for that one, not the theater.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I dropped the theater one because popcorn. That was the main thing. I was not going to actually do anything involving movies at all. It was going to be, hey, popcorn. So.
Oh yeah, you were going to do concession.
Yeah, screw that.
And you would have come home every night smelling like butter.
Yep.
Oh.
Bad. maybe nacho cheese and like hot dogs, like just like all that stuff.
Yeah.
Not what I really wanted. So no fault to movie theaters is a thing. That's where the profit's at. But yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Hey. Meowth is asking about movies we've seen recently. Insidious Chapter 2.
Yeah, I have that ready to watch. I just haven't watched it yet.
Okay. Insidious 1, a lot like Poltergeist, am I right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I was going to say maybe, but yeah, no, totally. In like spirit and stuff, for sure.
Poltergeist 2 was noble, but kind of really bad.
It was terrible. Yeah.
It was bad. This avoids a lot of those pitfalls, but still
Okay.
kind of taps on some similar stuff, which is kind of weird to me. Like, it's just like, hey, you know what's creepy? Old people. They're the creepiest.
Yeah.
No one's creepier than an old person, so let's
It's
put
true.
them in there. And yeah, so there's a creepy old person in there, and maybe they're a ghost or something. I don't know. I'm not gonna get it all into it, but yeah, creepy stuff happens, and it totally works. And
Yeah.
it's kind of funny in a way. Like they're more overt with their comedy
Okay.
too. So that might kind of throw people off, but I thought it worked. And yeah, it's not a great movie. I didn't think the first one was a great movie either, but it was like
Sure.
that was entertaining. Like that was way more than I expected for a horror movie sequel. So yeah, good job. That was worth my time. So
Good job,
if you
guys.
like that
Did it.
movie, they did it. They didn't totally screw up the landing or anything. So anyway, apparently I've been talking too much. So what have you been doing, Paul?
Oh, come on. There's no such thing as too much.
Maybe I shouldn't
I know.
look at that ever.
You keep getting shit for it.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, this guy just loves talking. But
Like, even on Twitter.
that's what the show is. It's
Even on Twitter, people are just like, Nathan loves to hear himself talk. It's like, oh, man.
like if in their imagination I'm just doing this all the time, then yeah, that would be pretty weird. But this is
You are doing it often, though. Like, even when we hang out and stuff, which is fine.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
you know, me sitting alone in my house, unless I just finished Grand Theft Auto 5 and no one's around and I need to say, wow, I'm not talking to myself that often. But I did. Within the last hour, I was talking to myself in an animated manner. Because,
Really?
yeah, people needed to
Okay.
know, and no one was here to know, but I needed to know. I don't
So
know.
you told yourself?
I told myself that was way cool. So
It just seems
take
that's
that.
what you work through thoughts, is by expressing it vocally and then maybe taking it in.
Yeah, like see how that sounds out loud. Man, why is any game other than this worth $60? Yeah, okay. I think I can agree with that. Like, wait, Beyond Two Souls is 10% of the budget of this game. Why isn't it 10% of the price? David Cage. Why aren't I paying you $6? Which is what you really deserve. Oh.
I don't know. I think that game may be worth like 20. It looks okay.
It looks okay, but I don't know. I'm not actually like saying, hey, we should make everything relative to its budget, because that's pretty rude, I guess. Like, just like, wait, you only spent like $50,000 on this game? All right, here's a nickel. You're welcome.
Yeah, every indie developer everywhere is just making $1.
Yeah, and they're all like really upset with me right now if they
Yeah.
listen. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah,
Actually,
because
doesn't matter.
like, how much did they spend? It's like maybe a license for Unity.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, to be fair, also Rockstar has an insane staff, like huge staff, and also they apparently abuse those people like a lot. But it's worth
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, probably. Human abuse is always worth it.
Yeah, what was that scripter gonna do otherwise? You know, might as well work on the biggest, baddest video game in the whole industry.
It's
Get
true,
on here.
Like, instead of just like going to their 9 to 5 and going home alone jerking off all night. At least
Yeah,
they did something.
well, be part of the team and produce something at the end of the day, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Like, do coders have souls? I don't know.
I don't think so. I think they replaced that with math.
They just put math there instead. That's true.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the
Yeah.
good ones anyway.
I just being a dink because I'm bad at learning. Coding sucks, and I hate it. And I don't want to learn it because it's just gross. I don't know. It's too obtuse. It needs to be like, you know, visual scripting language, but that much easier. Basically, if it's any more complex than Little Big Planet, I'm never going to be able to figure it out. And I hate that. I get angry. It's just like, man, this is... Game Maker is apparently a pretty easy one. That just bored me to tears within an hour. So... I think I need to come to terms with, like, unless this gets way easier, I'm never going to be able to crack that. And I just have to deal with that now and get over it. Because, like, I just don't have a math brain, and I never did. So, whoops. That's all there is to it.
You know who does?
Who has a math brain?
I'm just trying to remember his name now. Tommy. I think it's Tommy, right?
Oh, of the two? Like the Team Meat team?
Yeah. What's his last name, though? That's the part I can never remember.
Right? Reffins?
Huh?
Isn't it Reffins?
Yeah. Something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Anyways, the reason I bring that up is my Indie Game the Movie limited edition finally came in.
What? Okay, what's in the new bundle? What's on there?
Okay, so it's 3 Blu-rays.
What?
I know, right? So
Like-
it's just like, this like maybe couple 100 megabyte movie I downloaded on Steam. Yeah, it's on 3 Blu-rays of extra content.
Well, like the average movie is like 700 megabytes. If you're gonna do like a HD thing, maybe I don't know, 10, maybe that's a lot.
Well, it seems like they shot like almost all of their footage, all the extra footage as well in HD.
How much footage do you get?
A whole bunch. Well, Indie Game the Movie, like before they focused on 3 to make it kind of like a tale. It was just like a documentary talking to a bunch of random people. So there's a bunch of different interviews with people. They talked to Alec Hiloka.
Okay.
They talked to actually apparently the talk with him for like some project in Winnipeg or whatever they were working on is what spawned the idea for Indie Game the Movie.
So there you go. Weird.
There you go. I don't know, Kyle Pulver they talked to a little bit. They talked to what's his name? Jason Rohrer a bit.
Really?
They go into like the art director or the artist for Braid. They talk to him a bit because Jonathan Blow's just the dude that made it.
Mm-hmm.
The artist and like the look and stuff came from him.
That's kind of a big deal in Braid. Because, I mean, the story and everything is okay. Like, the mechanics are interesting, but it looks pretty nice. If it didn't
really
have
nice.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess maybe that's like part of the thing is just like games are really a collaborative effort. So when we start attributing all of it to one person, you're kind of doing it wrong.
They spent some more time with Phil Fish.
Yeah, more time with Phil Fish?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, as they were recording and stuff, that whole GDC and Fez coming out and the IGF award and the whole like Japanese games suck thing.
Oh man. All right.
Footage of all that stuff.
Awesome. Okay.
So that's okay. Edmund talks a whole bunch about his other games he's done.
Like Binding of Isaac or what?
He talks a little bit about
Gish.
Binding of Isaac, like Gish. I don't think he talks much about Gish because Gish had already been talked about a little bit.
Well under the bridge. And I think they show him getting his award for Gish in the movie.
I'm just trying to remember the name of the other ones though. And he talks about Aether or whatever in the movie as it is.
Okay. Well, like all the basement collection stuff.
Yeah, exactly. He talks about that stuff. And his wife has a little segment where she talks about like this process and blah 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 and what her perspective is. They like go through their house of little like fan made stuff that they've been sent from people around the world and stuff like that. That's kind of cool. It's like I said, it's just a bunch of random little stuff. They go to the TIG Jam in Winnipeg and talk to a bunch of people there. Derek Yu talks a bit about Spelunky and coding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does he like coding?
He loves it.
Okay.
His favorite part.
There you go. Math brains. Damn it.
Yeah. So, and like he talks about Spelunky specifically, where every level is a series of basically zeros and like ones and equal signs and stuff like that. And the zeros are empty spaces. The ones are like blocks to like walk on and walls and stuff like that. And they're a grid pattern, which is how the levels get randomly generated. I don't know. It's just something you'd have to watch. It's kind of neat.
Is the only way to get this stuff on tons of Blu-rays or?
You can get the DVD version as well.
Okay. But is there like a digital version?
For all that stuff? I think there is, yeah.
Like on Steam, like they had a listing for Indie Game the Movie, so is there also the super awesome new bundle?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay. And it has new commentaries and stuff too, right?
Yeah. Awesome. It has another Team Meat commentary. There's a commentary Team Meat does on all of the side features as well. So not just like the movie, but they also commented on all the side features.
What? Okay.
I think there's a commentary track from the film creators and Phil Fish, which I haven't gone to. If it is on there, I can't remember.
That's kind of like I'm kind of curious now about all this all the Phil Fish content because of his meltdown, right? Like he's just like, how like did he go from like, man, I really like games to fuck games in like a month? Like how did this happen?
I don't know. They kind of went a little through that stuff as well when they were talking about the Japan thing. He was saying like how he doesn't know how this happened, how he was just like a game. Like he just liked to make games or whatever, and all of a sudden people are listening to him, and he kind of likes it even though they hate him.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, the fact that they're listening and like he just gets into that a little bit. Yeah. Oh, that's another thing. Mega 64's Indie Game the Movie action trailer thing.
Yeah.
That's on there too.
Awesome. I enjoy that video.
It's
especially
really
knowing like the gun battle in it was just them dicking around before shooting the gun battle.
Jumping around and just shooting each other with fake guns.
Yeah, but that was them like they just arrived at this place where they were gonna stage a gun battle, and then they're just like, you know what? No, that's better. We just have
filler content
standing around. Yeah.
Oh, good.
So they just map in like muzzle flashes and whatever, and that's all you get.
And in that talk or whatever that spawned the idea for Indie Game the Movie. Alec was talking about like things he was doing, and it's kind of weird to hear him just be like at that point like, also like I've been working with this guy named Phil Fish, he makes games in Montreal, like nobody knew who he was yet.
Right. So see the timeline kind of emerge of like how they've unearthed these stories.
Yeah, like everybody basically that he's mentioned that he was doing stuff with or like had talked to in that interview was like a focus in their documentary.
So really is the unsung centerpiece of the indie game movement is Alec Holoka.
Kind of. I mean, kind of always has been though, what we found out when we did our recording with him.
Yeah.
Like he was always just kind of that guy that like started on the forums and then talking to random people and bringing everybody together. So I don't know, kind of cool stuff. I guess Adam Saltzman as well, creator of Cannibalt and Flixel or whatever the engine, that stuff. Okay. He's part of that too. They talked to him a bit.
So a lot of video game developers talking about video games.
Yep, and came with an Indie Game the Movie little poster. I need to find a frame for still, a sticker, and a notebook. Take notes. I don't know about what, but it's a small notebook.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, video games. I'm trying to think where I'm at right now in terms of video game appreciating.
Yeah, I kind of don't know either because in a way, fuck video games. Like in a way, they're still fun. So I don't know.
I think it's getting kind of fair to say that like a lot of them aren't great though. Even still, sure. Like now, like it's just like, oh, you can throw away like 99% of video games and they'll still be, you know, like you won't be missing much. Like the cream will rise to the top. Like don't worry about it. Like I was getting kind of like really manic for a while. Like man, there's all these amazing games, and you're just like, I don't know if that's true. Like there's a lot of people out there saying things are amazing. I guess part of the thing is like at some point when the game is big enough where critics don't matter anymore, you know that like I don't know. What are they for? What are opinions worth? Like Grand Theft Auto 5 comes out, who cares what the review scores say because you already have it in your house. Because it doesn't matter if it got a 9 or a 9.5 or a 10 or an 8. Like you don't like no one person's opinion on it is going to stop that train. It's going to happen. Right? Like it's like there's a point where it's just like, yeah, no one cares what any one individual thinks about this. It's not going to make or break whether or not this is a giant pop culture sensation because it's just going to happen.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, is that good though? Is that really like, is that something about the nature of software where it's like the subjective opinion of it is so sidelined, like so tangential to
like
whether
it really doesn't even matter.
Yeah. It's just like, well, you know, this story is about this, so that ostensibly you might not like it, but it's like flawless in terms of presentation and like graphics and everything relative to its peers. So 9 out of 10, you should play it. You know, like it's just like, what if I hate stories about criminals? It was just like 9 out of 10, you should play it. That's all I got for
That's
you.
like you know that game
car.
Brothers or whatever?
Yeah. Yeah.
How like Brad Shoemaker has said it's the best game of this year still.
Yeah.
Like
He is
I
saying
don't
that.
I don't really see it through like the videos I've seen and screenshots, but
Well,
like,
yeah,
they're
like
not-
it's just like,
I
oh,
don't
it's like
know,
a
the way
fantasy
that
thing about two brothers. That is not the most interesting game to me, even just based on that.
but there has to
So,
be something like decent in there because there are people saying it's really good.
yeah, that's
So
true.
there has to be something there, and I can tell you it's not mechanics because it's a 2-button game.
I guess that's
Basically.
kind of the thing. Yeah, like it's like when you get to the linear story game stuff, I just kind of I don't know how I feel about it anymore. Like it seems to be like you're limiting your horizons by electing to make your game this way.
But
And
see,
that is
like
not
if we're
for
talking
me.
about GTA, I'd rather just go through the story and not worry about having to drive from point to point because I don't care about the world they created. I've been in it before. Like I just
Okay.
want to see what crazy shit they've done this time.
I guess that's fair, but for me, like the world as the framework for telling the story is like what makes it all matter. You know, like it's just like I a part of it I think is maybe I can compare it to this thing Jake Rodkin said on Idle Thumbs about what he considers an impressive effect in a video game.
Mhm.
It's like when something happens in world that you know isn't just a scripted thing that's like only happening because that's all that could ever happen because it's all written this way or whatever. Like when it's all taking place in what is kind of a chaotic open world environment, it all feels more natural somehow. So when something crazy happens, like a train crashes or like there's this big explosion or a jet engine does something nuts and like sucks a vehicle through it or whatever, it's like, wow, that's crazy that happened. As opposed to if it happens in like a Call of Duty level where that is all that ever happens there, it's not interesting at all. Like it might as well just be a static background, you know? Because it's
Whereas my thing is that if it's not part of a larger story, it's never going to be like a thing for me that I should care about. Like,
right. No,
it's
it
what I'm
is
saying,
part
it's
of the
like in okay, so GTA. Let's say the train crash.
okay.
Okay, so GTA it happens because you were trying to do this mission or whatever, and then you just so happened there was a train at this point in time when you were trying to cross it, and you caused a giant wreck or something.
No, that's not what I'm even saying. Like I'm
Okay.
saying there is a scripted train crash in the game that is scripted.
Okay.
But because it takes place in this open world where meanwhile you've been driving around and all this nuts stuff has happened, it
Yeah.
feels like it's just a thing that happened.
Yeah,
You know?
so it's tricking you then.
Yeah, but it's tricking me like organically by convincing me the environment is more dynamic because
Yeah.
it is. You know, like after the mission's over, I can wreck a train. That is a thing that can happen.
Yes.
So that they wanted to show me that that's a thing that can happen in their mission is totally cool, and it's like plays it fair, right?
Mhm.
Whereas if you're in a linear corridor level in a thing, and that's like, oh shit, all this stuff's exploding, you're just like, well, yeah,
Well, that's
but
never been interesting. In fact, that's been a hindrance to enjoyment in those games.
yeah, but, or like I'm thinking to the Battlefield 4 demo I was showed at E3, where it's just like, look at all these jets sliding off the ship into the ocean, and you're just like, yeah, but that always happens like that, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's just the way you wrote this to go, so that's fine, but whatever. Whereas if it's like, no, there's an airplane and it's a real airplane that you could have been flying around in, but now it's like just a set piece because it's sliding off this thing. Like that's how the world works in a way. You
Mhm.
know, it's like you can see cars all the time, but cars aren't always crashing and exploding. But if it's, you know, if you can't actually drive it, then it's not really a car. It's just a box that looks like a car. You know,
Or like background.
it's just it's just a set.
Yeah.
Like it's literally just a set piece. It is a lie. Like all of it is, and it feels all like none of it is exciting. Other than looking like the thing you know works that way, it's not actually part of the real world. Whereas like everything that's part of the game world is used in interesting ways in the way that, like, it's like if you see a car you can drive it, if you see an airplane you can fly it, you know, and then by them mixing around those different things and making crazy stuff happen with them, it's like, yeah, this is how this works. You know, we pulled something off, we did something. I don't know, that's what makes it work for me. So I guess I just really like the way they structure it. Like, to me, the open world is absolutely key to those games working. Like, there's Jeff on the latest Giant Bombcast was saying like all of his favorite stuff doesn't need that. I don't agree at all.
What's
like,
all his favorite stuff?
The heists. And the heists are great, but the heists are only great because you like made them happen. You set them up.
Yeah.
You know, the reward at the end of a long chain of missions that took place in the world. If it was just a game about robbing things, it would be like Payday 2 or something. And no, I don't want that. That's not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a delicate balance. You can't just have like just a linear level, like bunch of missions that string together as an action game, or else it's just like Max Payne 3 or something, and it's less interesting.
It sounds like he didn't even like Payday 2. So
no,
like
Payday 2.
So there is a reason why it works in GTA 5 for him, and I don't think he's realized why.
Well, I think he's like kind of selling short the framework of the game. It's like, well, do we really need this open world framework anymore? It's like, fucking hell, yes we do. Of course we do. Are you serious? It's not GTA without it. Like, it's not. That's wrong. That would just be any other action game at some point. Like, without all that extra, like, even if some of it's an illusion, like, you can't actually go as far as you want. Like, there's a limit to the world. There's a confines to what you can actually take part in. That you can do as much as you can makes it feel that much more, like, rewarding somehow. Like, it's just like, that I can go golfing in the same world I can, like, rob a bank is just kind of like, yeah, that's you know, choices, all open world, like real life kind of stuff. It starts to tap into that. It's just a real life where I'm a psychotic criminal and no one drives safely at all. Like,
but that's real life as well.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's just like, imagine, like, all the traffic rules are still in play. Like, there's still signs and stoplights and everything, but you're not going to wait because it's all narcissistic. Like, it's revolving around you. So you're just like, I want to get to where I'm going as fast as I can. I'm going to drive over this meridian and drive down the sidewalk because whatever.
Yeah.
And, like, maybe it's kind of bending reality in a way that's maybe kind of disappointing in that the cops and stuff don't react to that stuff the way they would in real life. But at the same time, I think they have to kind of make it...
dial it back a bit.
Go forward. I mean...
Yeah.
They still got over 40 hours of time out of me, and I'm a pretty patient person as a game playing guy. But, you know, I'm assuming it takes like 30 plus hours for anybody to finish that game. Like, that's a lot of trust, I guess, like, for the audience or whatever. Like, they don't want to kind of
30 plus hours isn't that bad. Like 30 as a minimum.
Well, but a lot of people don't finish video games is kind of the statistic I've seen. Like, a lot of people just, like, start a lot of games and then never actually see the end. So for them to have kind of written this story and designed all this stuff with, like, no, everyone who plays this game is going to finish it, but we kind of don't want to completely hinder them from making it there. So let's, like, not put in, oh, your car ran out of gas, which is a thing I would love to have happen, but it doesn't, you know? Or, like, oh, you know, Michael should go on this mission, but he's really hungry. You should head down to the burger shop. You know, they took out that stuff. Like, that was in San Andreas, and I actually really liked that system, even though it's arguably really tedious. But I don't know. Like, you know, if they added all that stuff back in, I would be totally stoked. But at some point, it becomes a really tedious game for people. So
at the same time, a lot of the tediousness, though, I mean, you could get past it because you're not following regular, like, life protocol. Like, your gas runs out, you go up to the next guy, you break his window, and then take his car. Big deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it wouldn't be a huge hindrance. Yeah,
it wouldn't be a huge hindrance to you. So maybe at some point they're just like, whatever. Like, all these cars, we'll just, you know, we'll still put gas stations in the environment, so someone's refueling them sometime, but that's just happening in between fade outs or whatever. Like, don't worry about it. Like, they're kind of, you know, trimming the edges, like pruning it a bit to kind of make it more, you're doing cool stuff more often than not. But at the same time, I kind of love tedium in video game stuff. Like, it's just like, anything that makes it more resemble my life is exciting to me. So I'm not reading the chat right now, so I don't know. Yeah, Meow has it out for me. I'm not sure why. Like, welcome to I Talk About Grand Theft Auto, the podcast. I apologize.
There's like always a comment that's just like, well, at least he's not talking about himself. It's like,
yeah. Anyway, like, there's like little stuff that happens in some late game missions that just have me so impressed because they start kind of just getting into not crime stuff that is still in service of a crime. Like, basically you having to go undercover in a, like, just kind of pretend to do a job for a while in order to look good on the cameras while you're secretly working on casing this joint or whatever. I'm talking about it. But, like, stuff like that is just makes all the difference to me, is just being like, yeah, no, like, most of the time, real people aren't shooting people and stealing cars. Most of the time, people are, like, you know, golfing or going tennis or going shopping. And I spent a lot of time going shopping in this game. Like, just like, I'm going to go and buy some more clothes. Kind of tired of this look. I'm going to go buy some more sunglasses. Or, you know, the stock market, like messing around on your cell phone, like that kind of stuff. Like, that they have those kind of micro activities you can engage in makes, when you do something that isn't that, like when you do have to, you know, it's time for the guns to come out, we got to do this, it makes it, I don't know, I don't know how to really summarize what it is. It makes it work for me. It makes it make sense.
Mm-hmm.
It functions in a larger world that, yeah, like it's good. They did it right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm running out of kind of the way to say it. And again, you're kind of early, but Grand Theft Auto's kind of always done this pretty well. Like I've kind of realized, like, I've been playing these for about a decade now, and I still fondly remember like specific plot points in Vice City, for example, or San Andreas stuff, like the Lance Vance dance, like just dumb little character moments that stick with you because you kind of lived the story instead of kind of seeing it happen, like seeing it play out. And Rockstar still plays kind of a weird middle ground between, like, there's a lot of movie style content in their game, like there's a lot of cutscene stuff.
Yep.
So, you know, typically that isn't really my jam, right? But because they kind of also have a lot of, like, conversations in cars and, like, phone conversations and, like, you just kind of walking around the world doing stuff, like, there's kind of other ways they tell their story that, like, those I'm more willing to put up with.
Well, the cutscenes are almost like a loading screen or something. Like, the reason they play is so you meet up with this person and say, "What's up, homie?" And then the actual reason why you're doing stuff storyline-wise for the mission happens when you're driving to that part of the mission or whatever with that person that you just met.
It's like more like them setting up a character or kind of having
or
a little
meetup or something, yeah.
Yeah, like, and like, I kind of like how they do that stuff in this one specifically. They kind of roll into their cutscenes a lot smoother than they used to. Like, you know, when you'd start a mission point in old GTA games, it's like, hey, there's this, like, circle on the ground, stand here and press triangle or something.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's still the circle, but when you start walking towards the circle, it'll just start basically playing the scene. And your character will just kind of smoothly walk into cutscene from gameplay. And I don't know, I thought that stuff was really, really slick from a presentational standpoint. And then, again, once you get to switching from character to character, like, some of the ways they handle those transitions are really pretty awesome as well. Like, you'll kind of meet a character again while they were doing something. Yeah. And that kind of gets to tease your imagination a bit as to, like, what these characters are doing when you're not around. So it's just like, why is this guy on top of this mountain in his underwear? What? But that not story that you missed is kind of more interesting than whatever cutscene they could have done, right? So it's just kind of like, I'm assuming basically the hangover happened while I was gone, and all right, and then you just kind of go with that. And I don't know, like, there's little jokes they manage with their kind of setup of the three characters, whatever, that I thought were really, really great. And some kind of just more emergent gameplay type stuff would happen from time to time, like a really great car chase that would just kind of happen because I wasn't able to hide from the cops very well. Like, just, you know, little thing. Or, like, there was a point, this isn't even a spoiler because it's just a thing that happened. I wandered into a junkyard, and I was just like, oh man, am I, like, you know, there's a dog over there. Is this, like, classic, whoa, junkyard dog, he's going to start chasing me thing? Yes,
Mhm.
and I immediately got 2 stars wanted level, and that ended up escalating to like a 4-star chase, which ended in me dying. But it was like a dumb little thing with me wandering around, ended up in like this 10-minute action sequence with like this giant shootout in this small town. And I don't know, I kind of like that stuff. And also just the vertical stuff, like the parkour kind of system they have, which requires like time button presses from you and whatever. Like, there's a lot of cool mechanical stuff they just kind of put in there for you to kind of have your own little crime stories. Well, the big crime story they want to tell you is happening.
Mhm.
So the stories in between the big story also kind of made it work for me. Whatever. Yeah, video games. Sometimes I just kind of fall right in line with like, yeah, there's a reason like the masses love this game and don't really care about a lot of the.
I think the reason the masses love this game is different from the reason you do, though.
Maybe, but at the same time, like a good crime saga is just part of pop culture, right? Like if you love Quentin Tarantino and Martin Scorsese movies, like there's something for you here too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, like maybe there is totally like a large percentage that just wants to shoot it up and like drive around, blow up things.
Do you look down on those people? The people that aren't like, I appreciate the parkour mechanics and the way they tell stories, and they're like, no, I just like it because I like killing cops.
Well, what the internet is telling me recently, just through Reddit GIFs and stuff, is like people do like the parkour mechanics because they're so silly. Like there was one of Franklin with low health jumping into a pole, and you take damage if you jump badly. So he just kind of smokes the pole and then dies, and it's pretty funny. Like, like little mechanical stories come out of the weird things that can happen with the way they handle collision and whatever. So I don't know. That stuff's part of the fun too. Like that, if that's somebody's favorite part of the game, I totally get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is that's some good stuff in there too. Some good video game stuff. Like I'm not even saying like there's a specific cutscene that is my favorite part of the game or like one mission. It's like the whole cloth, like the whole experience is kind of what makes it awesome. So like, me driving up to this lighthouse and then taking part in a wave race and just being like, wow, this just happened. Like I am now racing a Ski-Doo and then I'm going to listen to this awesome song while driving back into the mountains or whatever. Like just like the world they have made come to life is the star of the show. And I don't know. It's immaculate. It's awesome. So
what if the star of the show was the angry video game nerd?
How's that? How is that game?
It's okay. It's actually decent.
Okay.
And that's surprising to me as much as it's probably surprising to you.
Yeah, I saw it at PAX and was just like, yeah, okay, it's going for old NES stuff. All right.
Yeah, no, it feels like an SNES platformer done Mega Man style.
It looked kind of maybe tedious to me. Like,
yes.
Just like,
no,
wow,
yes, you are totally right.
Okay.
Let me put it this way. The last level you can't beat until you've played through it enough times to memorize everything that happens.
Awesome.
Well, like, to just know that, like, okay, so this is going to happen, so I gotta stop now and then go, and now I gotta stop and go, like that sort of thing.
Okay.
So it's one of those. It's very much the old NES sensibilities that difficulty is unfairness.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, yeah. So,
how
I don't
do they
know.
handle that, like, in a way that's not just bad? Like, is it funny? Like, do they make jokes about it?
No. I mean, kind of. Like, when you die, it's just like, welcome to die, and then it has an angry video game nerd quote or whatever that's like, this is a shitload of fuck and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And, like, in a way, it's kind of weird because it's like, wow, way to say this shit about your own video game. But it makes sense because in the video game, what happened is a bunch of them, like the angry video game nerd and his friends, were hanging out playing games, and then they got sucked in somehow. So he's trying to save them and get out of the game. So there's a reason why he would be berating the levels, because he's stuck in there. You know what I mean?
Or I guess it's more like Mystery Science Theater.
Sure.
Well, I mean, where like the commentator got trapped and now has to watch.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Got trapped by the video game, and now he has to play the shitty video game to escape.
Hmm.
Is that fair to say?
Sure.
Is he
Yeah.
rescuing his friends from the bad video game?
Well, they're literally trapped in it.
Okay.
Yeah, so yes is I guess what I'm saying.
But
And,
is like each level you saving a friend or something, or
no, I think there's only the 4. There's cameos from a bunch of different people, like Pat the NES Punk is a cameo. He's a screw attack guy. I
Okay.
don't know how familiar he's been in a few AVGN videos.
Okay.
Ego Raptor, like the Game Grumps guy, is a cameo in it.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to remember. Oh, Mr. Destructoid is a cameo.
Okay.
Like when they do that sort of stuff, it seems a little pandery to the critics. Where it's just
Yeah.
in this game. But,
Yeah, like I know like Jim Sterling was in Retro City Rampage, and that struck me as kind of weird.
Mhm.
Where it's just like, oh, we'll just like make a little love letter to all of our critics that we want to impress in the game, and then they'll have to give us a good review.
I know it is kind of weird, but like for AVGN Adventures, I kind of don't care because the game is based around an internet personality.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever, right? It's already pandery.
Well, it's like such a niche thing, and yeah.
Every level is kind of a play on like or a reference or satire for other video games. Like the first level that most people click on because it's the first one you land on when you get to the main level select screen is Assholevania.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically Castlevania. So, and weird AVGN and video game references throughout. Like in Assholevania, in the background, there's the Majora's Mask moon.
Oh, weird. Okay.
Yeah. So, I don't know, just little stuff like that. Some of the bosses are things that pissed off the angry video game nerd in some of his videos. There's the Silver Surfer part where like you're flying around on a surfboard. So they change it up a little bit here and there.
Like, is it less horribly hard than that game was? Or
What's that?
Well, like Silver Surfer is notoriously difficult, right? Do they scale it back a bit?
Oh yeah, but like it's still not easy the first time you go through those parts, but the more you have to play them to get through the level or whatever, it's usually fine.
Do they do something like? Is there a live system, or is it just no? You can just play.
There's like it's like a heart system. So when you take a hit, it's like a full bottle of beer. So like the bottles of Rolling Rock are your health, and you start off I think with 2. And then you get one for every character you find because you can get your friends to switch between. So you can use James, Kyle the guitar guy, Bullshit Man, and Mike. And they all have different kind of abilities. Mike has a secret find sort of thing. Like he can find secrets and break through walls when he finds them. And he has a Luigi jump. James himself is pretty standard. Like you can tap the button to jump normally, or you can hold it for a little bit of a higher and longer jump. You can hold down the trigger button and then shoot to stay stationary and shoot in 8 directions. That sort of thing. Bullshit Man moves slower, but his attack is like an arcing attack that does more damage, and he can double jump. And Kyle the guitar guy can only shoot left or right. He can't aim anywhere, and he shoots through walls. So his thing can go through walls and attack stuff.
Okay.
But so they all have a different sort of function. I am still stuck at the last boss. I haven't completely finished it. I can get the last boss to his final phase, and then he kills me. Yeah.
Was this the guy we talked to, like the 8-bit guy? Like,
no, it wasn't Eric Ruth. He did the first one.
Oh, okay. So there's a different one that is an 8-bit video game. Like, right?
Yeah, the original one, which was more of a Contra type game. It was a side scroller, and you would shoot and then throw beers as grenades.
Oh, okay. I guess I just assumed this was that game that
No.
he was talking about because I never played that one. But
No.
okay. So who made this? Like,
I can't remember. It's Screw Attack Games is part of it, so it's like their own thing, but I can't remember who developed it.
oh, okay. Huh. Is this available on Steam and stuff, or?
Available on Steam now. It was supposed to come out as of this recording on the 23rd, but they pushed it early to the 20th.
Oh, okay.
And
so
it's
pretty fresh.
It's $14.99. I'm gonna say unless you're a huge AVGN fan and like really like Mega Man type hard platforming games, I would wait for a sale. I think $10 is a fair price point. Anything less is a good deal.
Okay.
So 15, I still can't recommend to most people.
Right. And I guess again, like if you pay 4 times that, you get one of the greatest games ever made. So, you know.
Which one?
I'm just being an asshole now. It's whatever. Hey, that Grand Theft Auto. I'm gonna bring it up again. Remember that one?
I've heard of it.
Oh yeah. So there's these games, right? Dan Houser and Sam Houser and Leslie Benzies decided, hey, we should make like the best games, and then they did. So that's what they do.
I'm not gonna harp too much on this, but I reached level 90 in World of Warcraft, and now I'm kind of done.
Well, good. That's the end, right? That's where you're supposed to stop.
I mean, kind of. There's more, but like the next part for me is getting into a raiding guild, finding the gear good enough, like a good enough gear score to be able to start raiding, and then doing that every week for like 3 days a week. And I don't necessarily have the time or desire to do that again. That part of my life is done. It was just a matter of seeing the new content that I was missing out on, getting to level 90 and seeing that new content, and I have.
Okay.
So
was it fun?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's still fun to go to when I'm bored. Like, I'll level up another character. My next character down is 85. So, like, if I'm bored one night, maybe I'll spend, like, 2 hours just leveling that character up. Because why not? But, yeah, it was okay.
Yeah. Okay. I guess, what is your take on the Diablo 3 tweaks that are happening? Like the auction house
going down.
Yeah.
I never thought it was a good idea to begin with. I don't think you should.
Like, is that going to fix Diablo 3 for you, or?
Well, I've been playing Diablo 3 as well.
Okay, so is it good now? Is it what you want?
The little tweaks and fixes they've done definitely have made it more accessible, where, like, just jumping in and playing, it just feels better for some reason. I don't really know why. I never did anything with the auction house, so I didn't care about that.
Okay.
But, I never liked the idea of a real money auction house because I always think video game systems and, like,
it should be a self-contained thing.
It should be like I give money to a person that made this and then I get the content. It shouldn't be I'm expecting kind of money back from it. It shouldn't be like almost a business venture that you could just like buy more Blizzard stuff with.
Right.
I don't like ecosystems in games, which is why I don't like Facebook games and that whole stuff. I like it when I give money to somebody for a product and then I get to enjoy it and put it away.
Yeah. And you have the whole product and it's yours, and that's that. Done deal. I gave you money. Thank you.
But out of all the companies I can think of, Blizzard is definitely the one that I thought could make it work. And they could. So it's probably just not a good idea.
Yeah. I guess I just found it kind of neat that they are taking the time to kind of make this game have a good legacy, you know? Like, it launched kind of awkward, and it's been a year of kind of people losing interest in it.
Yeah.
So for them to kind of be like, no, we want Diablo 3 to like be a thing people look back on as like, yeah. So we're going to like work until it's good to go for like a decade, you know?
I don't want to be a naysayer really to what you're talking about, because I do agree with you.
Well, I'm saying that's what I think they're trying to do. You know, I'm not saying whether or not they're succeeding, but
no, like what I'm saying is that I agree with you. However, it's less of a impressive thing when you realize that like every game Blizzard does has a huge company of people working behind that one game. So it's like,
I know.
Or it's because there's a Diablo team. Of course, they want to make their thing really good. I don't know. I'm just saying it's less impressive in that regard.
It's just kind of weird to me that it's not just like, well, whatever. We sold like so many million copies right out of the gate. We're good. Moving on. You know, like they're kind of like, well,
They've never
we're not
been a company, to be fair, though.
well, they don't like leave it and then move on. They kind of patch it and tweak it and, you know, balance it.
I mean, they're still supporting like Warcraft games and stuff. I'm just saying, like, they've never been the company to leave their products behind.
Like Warcraft 1 and 2.
Pretty sure there was an update to 3, like maybe not like within the last week or two, but probably a couple months ago or something, because Dota, the original Dota, is still going, and that updated.
Right. Why is it just kind of like that kind of infinite, it's never quite done nature of software? That's just
you can still play Diablo 2 with people, which is
no, people apparently love Diablo 2
and Diablo 1 actually, even if you want.
Yeah. I've never gotten into any of those, but I don't know. It's just kind of like an interesting case in the world. I guess I'm not saying like, oh, it's really impressive. Why doesn't everybody do this? Well, the answer is everybody doesn't have billions of dollars, but I don't know. It's just kind of neat to see a game anywhere try to maintain like a giant long tail after it's out, you know? Like just that anyone is still talking about a game from like 2000 in Diablo 2.
Yeah.
Is kind of cool. I don't know. Just like a lot of games get kind of treated like garbage after they're out, right? Like it's just like whatever. It's out already. It's discounted to $5. Please buy them.
That's one of the things I love about Blizzard, though. They actually do care about what they put out there, even though they like seem like an evil company because the merge with Activision and all this stuff, and like they make so much money off WoW and they make people pay. Like, what the hell's wrong with them? They actually use that money to make sure the servers are always running and shit. So it's like, and they pay their people well, from what I've heard from people that say they've either been contracted by Blizzard or like have worked for Blizzard for a bit and stuff. They treat their people decent.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't get the whole evil company from them at all. I get that they're probably meticulous in a lot of stuff they do, to the point where it might drive some people crazy, but they always put out a product that's worth the money and they keep up with it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is more than can be said about a lot of companies.
Yeah. Video games.
Video games, man. Breaking Bad. I'm catching up.
I haven't watched the most recent one yet, but yeah, where are you at?
Watch season 3. I finished off season 3 yesterday.
Okay.
So I'm on season 4, and I'll probably do that sometime this weekend.
I'm curious how you'll feel about season 4, because season 4 was my shark jump moment, where the show changed from, this is one of my favorite shows, to, well, I've watched so much of it, I'll finish it, but, what? So, I don't know. They're kind of, they're getting it, like, they're definitely got me on the edge of my seat the past few weeks, like, with the most recent episodes, just because, like, I want to see this story end, and there's some pretty big stuff happening, but there's been some moments over the course of this series that totally made my eyes roll. Like, they just seem totally out to lunch, poorly conceived, stupid ideas that...
I don't think I've reached that point yet, because season 1 I went through fine because it was short. Season 2 I kind of stopped halfway and then finished it, and I was like, okay, I'm kind of into this. Season 3, when I actually sat down and watched it, I was like, okay, I'm definitely in now, because there's some crazy stuff going on. More people are starting to become aware of what's going on. Like, I'm not going to spoil stuff, because I mean,
well, a lot of
there
people
are catching up.
Yeah, there's a lot of people kind of finally getting in on it now.
So it's like season 3, things are starting to go a certain way I wasn't expecting, and that's making characters I hated before become really, really interesting to me.
Like who?
Specifically, I'm more interested in Hank now and Skylar.
Okay. Cool, yeah.
Because they are more than what they seem to be in the first season and a half, roughly.
Oh, yeah, I guess now, like, since I'm so deep in it, like, yeah, they do some really cool things with Hank that I kind of forgot they weren't always doing that. But yeah, Hank's kind of useless for a while.
Is it a spoiler to say, like, okay, so Hank in the first season, he's what you figure, like a standard DEA agent, kind of like the, like, obnoxious jerk uncle sort of guy that, like, hangs out. He's just kind of, like, annoying and trying to be funny, and he's not, sort of thing. But then, like, something happens that changes him, and he starts turning a different way, kind of. Like, things are starting to come out now that makes him a character and not just, like, a facade of a character.
Yeah.
which is really nice. And the same thing with Skylar. She seemed just like the housewife you should hate, but then
Mhm.
like there's a change in her too, and I'm really excited to see where that goes. But apparently season 4 is terrible, according
Well,
to.
no, I don't know. A lot of people love season 4. Like, I was reading Reddit comments yesterday of people just be like, "Oh, best season." And you're just like, okay. Like, it was just a point where it was like the show clearly like became something, or well, it didn't become something else. It was just like it was made clear to me that me and the show had different ideas of a cool direction for this story would be, you know? So it's just like I thought this was going left, but we went right. I'll still go with you because I'm, on board already. Like I've
Ride
seen a
with
lot
you.
of this show.
Just like The Rock.
What?
I'll ride with you. That's what you
I'll ride
were
with
like.
Yeah, I looked at Vince Gilligan and I was like, I'll ride with you, but I'm not like, still gonna finance this whole endeavor. Like I'm not.
Sure. Yeah.
Like
okay.
I sold my DVD collections and like this is not a show I will own and
It's on
revisit.
Netflix. You don't have to.
That's also true. Like actually, yeah, that is the thing where it's just like, why do I own anything anymore? Why do these shelves have stuff on them? I don't. Ugh. Because yeah, I can get all this content on the internet. So why is it taking up real space? That's not good anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of digital distributed stuff, Steam OS, dude. What?
Yeah, I don't know about this, honestly. I haven't heard about it. So it's just an operating system for Steam?
Well,
Steambox?
it's a Steam operating system, the Linux-based thing, I guess. I guess this is the Linux-based thing that Gabe was talking about cryptically like a week ago or whatever. We're just like, oh yeah, we got big plans for Linux in your living room, and yeah, here it is. It's going to be an operating system, and it's free and always will be, and all that. And I'm sure it'll, seem all nice and generous, but secretly be a way for you to spend way too much money on video games. But that's kind of how they do.
Should be. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like that, they're not being like coy about it. It's just like, yeah, hop in our ecosystem and then we'll offer you a bunch of great deals and then you'll give us money. Thanks. And then you'll play video games and we like those. So yeah, I don't know. That was kind of an announcement today, so I figured it was worth a mention. But Valve, they're big.
Something's been like, this is kind of just a weird tangent and topic of discussion, maybe.
Yeah.
Was Hitler evil? Like, what's the definition of evil, or was he just kind of like a jerk?
Well, I don't think absolute evil is a thing. So it's kind of just like by
Misguided?
the popular. Yeah, I mean by like general moral consensus of the world, Hitler was not cool. Like he killed a lot of people.
Of course he was not cool. But
I know, but like that
the way he went about what he wanted was brilliant because he got a whole nation backing him.
Oh,
like
the lead up to him taking power and stuff. Like, yeah, like he charismatic dude for sure. Like I saw a book on the shelf in our history section yesterday that was just called like Hitler's Charisma. So, studying his speeches and whatnot, I imagine. Like there's a method to what happened there. Like he was good at doing some stuff, obviously. You can't just become the leader of a country by inaction, right?
Right.
So he made stuff happen. It was just looking back on it retroactively, it's like, wow, this is a lot of bad stuff. Shouldn't have done that. That's not good. But yeah,
it's bad for business killing half your country off.
True. I don't want to like use this. I will use this as a transition point. Actually, okay. Some people forget. A lot of other people were in his genocide plans, including gypsies.
Sure.
Which I don't know what's going on, but it seems like routinely, almost every maybe 2 weeks, there's a post on Reddit that ends up with just a bunch of European people just like laying into gypsies. Like people in Europe hate gypsies.
It's true, actually. I do know a few people from Europe, like Romania and stuff, and they just talk about how much gypsies are terrible and shit like that.
It's like Romania specifically came to light in the comments because like it's just like, well, like the Roma or the Romi people, so they're apparently mislabeled as Romanians a lot. So like the reputation of the gypsies sticks to Romanian people, and they don't like that, so there's like a grudge there.
Yeah.
But then I guess also their like transit system, trains can only go 60 kilometers an hour in Romania because the conductor needs to be constantly watching out for broken patches of track because gypsies routinely steal parts of the track. So like for salvage or burning stuff or something, I'm not sure. But like they're stealing railway ties.
Yeah. It's a problem, really.
Conductors. Like, I mean, it's a legit problem, but at the same time, it's so weird to see like incredibly overt racism just being like the norm. Like, it's just like, oh yeah, man, fuck those guys. And you're just like, wow, if this was like, just, like, imagine you were asking people from the South how they felt about black people and then just substitute those words in. It's just like, this is really inappropriate. This is like the worst threat in the world. Or it's like, for this whole paragraph you just wrote about why gypsies are the worst, substitute Jews in there, you are like the worst person on the internet right now. You know? Like, but with gypsies, it's okay. It's weird. Like,
Yeah. No, I do agree with you. Like, it's kind of weird that it's just like, this is okay to hate right now.
yeah, it's like everyone had a consensus time, and they're just like, this is so. And I'm not like saying one way or the other. I have never had to deal with a gypsy person. Maybe they're like the most annoying street people or something. But it's still weird. Like, it's just a strange internet culture thing to see.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm just gonna put my name on this post and say I hate those people. And you're just like, okay, weird.
What do you mean, those people?
Those people, they say
Yeah.
that's what they're saying. Europe, they don't like it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, specifically, I guess the post was like, who do you consider the redneck equivalent of Europe? And a lot of them were laying into gypsy people. I guess also chavs is a thing.
Okay. Yeah.
CHAV?
Yeah.
I guess
That's British slang, I think, though.
Right. It's like, it sounds like basically just like uneducated white trash of Europe. So
Yeah,
they
no,
went
it's
like imitation like Adidas tracksuit and
it's the Wiggers of London specifically, I think.
okay,
Like,
yeah.
just kind of like weird, trashy, like wiggery type people. Chavs.
Yeah. There's some great pictures.
We talked to Lauren about that, I think. That might not have been in the recording. That might have been after or before you joined.
Okay.
And she was describing what chavs were, and I was like, so am I a chav because I'm white? And she's like, no.
No,
You're not. It's like,
definition
okay.
of what a chav is all about, but I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't know this was a thing. But yeah, there you go. So people hating people on the internet. Weird, right?
Yeah.
That is going on every day.
It's a thing.
It
Every
is.
day.
Every single day.
Every day they're hustling.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Okay, I'm honestly feeling like a little weird, like, no one bothers labeling me with, like, hypocrite stuff. No one seems to be doing that, but, like, that I'm so on board with the big game now has me really self-conscious about it, but I don't know. You know? Like, it's like, if you go big enough, I will just be like, yeah, you did it. But if you don't go, you know,
You
go
were on
bigger-
board with Skyrim, which is like the biggest game of that year.
You're right. I was totally down with Skyrim. So it's like, if you make your production lavish enough, I will just be like, wow, thanks guys, that's awesome. But if you're kind of half-assed or whatever, like, I guess part of it is just, it's like every 4 or 5 years you get one of those. That's kind of key, right? Like, they put enough time and enough effort into making it something special instead of like every year or two you get the new iteration in the series. Like, that for me, like, that is why I don't get excited about Assassin's Creed in the same way, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Like, open world game costs a lot of money, and you're just like, yeah, you're right. Except I know, like, I can see how this is barely an improvement over the last one, because the last one came out 16 months ago. So I'm not going to get excited. Like, I'm just not. It might be fine, but I already kind of went down this path, you know? Like, I'm kind of good on that front. So I'm kind of raising a skeptical eyebrow at Watch Dogs already, because it's just like, well, it's the Ubisoft people. Like, how much time could they have really spent on this between all the Assassin's Creed projects going on over there and whatever? Like, it's not going to be as detailed. Like I can't see it being that way, right? It just won't be.
Yeah.
Like in the ways that count to me anyway. Like maybe it's like, oh no, dude, like 20, 30 hours of experience, like really well written story or whatever, and you're just like, that could all be true, but maybe I can't, listen to this inane radio chatter or walk into this building over here and go play tennis. Like that kind of dumb fringe stuff is what makes it stand out to me. It's like, wow, they had so much time, they put like 8 tennis courts in this game. Awesome. That's where I'm like, this is graduating to another tier. Like, I can walk around in my house and watch cartoons in the video game.
Ooh.
Yeah, like it's like, again, that's what I want. Secretly what I want.
You just want a Second Life.
Kinda, but like really well designed.
But not Second Life, the game.
Not actual Second Life, because what I've seen of that looks kind of bad. Or Home, which apparently patched automatically, so I'm up to date on PlayStation Home now. So I can jump
I think
in.
Mario 64 Mario has it right in the chat. Control plus C tennis court, Control plus V times 7. They just copied it over and over.
It's like also they changed the color, so it's like it's a clay court, but it all plays the same.
So then they changed the hex from like FF0E7F or something to like E7.
But whatever, that they ever thought they need to balance and tune tennis mechanics is kind of the part of the equation that's like impressive to me. So like I'm trying to think what side content in other open world games, like I played Saints Row 3 recently, and it's just like a lot of the side content is just like, I don't want to do this. Like it is just driving. Like, it's just driving or shooting, but with different wrapping on it, Like, that's boring. Whereas it's just like, oh, I'm golfing, and I'm actually golfing, and that's golfing. It's not like any other mechanic in the game. It is just here for me to do that. But whatever. Sorry I keep coming back to the well. It is literally, like, full-time job this past week. 40 hours worth of time was doing that.
I'll catch up with it, and Breaking Bad. And then we'll do 2 episodes of Spoiled. I guess that's like, I figured we should just do recordings of like stuff we're going to spoil completely instead of like going in depth here. It just makes more sense because then people that want to hear about it fully can just hear it.
Yeah, and I do like kind of citing specific examples, so I feel weird about like talking around a lot of things. I would just be like, I like this part when this happened with this guy, but I can't do that yet. So, right. Okay, let's move on to voicemails.
Yes. So new feature.
Yeah, I was about to.
Pixel-response.com. On the right-hand side, there's a leave a voicemail tab thing or whatever. Send voicemail, maybe. I can't remember what it says. You just click on that, click the green button, talk in your mic, and that's it. That's all you have to do.
There you go. No excuse. You have a microphone.
You can be like Foxy the Kid, who sent us this.
What?
Of course, this had to happen on our first voicemail.
Is this all there is?
I wonder how long it goes for.
Is there a question? Oh, wait, is this making fun of how long I monologued? Like he fell asleep? Is that what this is?
No, because this was sent like a week ago.
Oh, okay, I was reading malice into that. It's like, oh man. Alright, so Foxy the Kid fell asleep right after he called us.
Yeah.
Oh, back?
It's still going, I guess.
Can you see, like, recording time? It's like, oh, I got 48 minutes of this.
No, it's not 48 minutes. It's almost over.
Okay.
Okay. We might have to send a time limit. Ah.
there. See, that was the payoff. It was like one of those YouTube videos where
It was like SCP-087 or whatever.
Yeah.
That's another thing, by the way. The stream we did from back in the day, like I have it so on Twitch you can't see the stuff we've done in the past. I have to put it up on YouTube or allow it.
Oh, okay.
So that is now archived only for subscribers on the site. And it was a good time. There's some funny stuff in that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I suggest people check that out. Okay, let's keep
old horror games. Oh, well, not old, but yeah. Okay, next voice.
Let's keep moving on. So this is from Flizer97.
Okay.
Hello, Paul and Nathan. It is I, Flizer97, and I have a question. So over the past year or two, and within the next year, we have many remakes or spiritual successors to classic games coming out, such as Double Dragon Neon, DuckTales Remastered, A Link Between Worlds, Shantae Half Genie Hero, and Mighty Number 9. Do you feel as though more remakes are on the way, or do you feel as though reimaginings will die out within the next couple of years?
More remakes on the way? Probably because they're an easy money grab, I think, for a lot of companies that do them.
Like a nostalgic cash-in. Like, I've actually been thinking a lot lately about, like Square Enix's, like, if they're ever in a bankruptcy type situation, all they need to do is port Final Fantasy VII to a HD something. Like, just do a remake, and they will make all of the money.
All of the money that exists in the world will be theirs.
And I mean, to be fair, like, that is kind of fair game in a way. Like, that was I was 10 years old when that came out, or whatever, like 12, 13 when I played it, and that is part of my childhood, and if they put it on a PlayStation 4 or something, I will kind of be obligated by personal history to play it, which is gross, but they'll have my money. So, as long as there are idiots
in the chat, Majora's Mask remake.
Exactly.
I'm there.
Like, yeah, man, I want that real bad, because I love that game, but wow, N64 graphics are bad. Like, text quality is terrible, and I don't, like, relative to the time it came out, it was fine. But, come on, like, it's really gross looking. And I love that game, design-wise, but, like, early 3D is kind of hard to look at. And it's going to be harder and harder to explain why that game is good going forward. So
Dolphin Emulator actually helps that a lot.
Really?
Is it Dolphin or their other one, Project 64? I can't remember, but it cleans up graphics a lot. So it's not it's still muddy. Like polygons and stuff. It's not muddy anymore, though. That's the thing. They're like HD polygons. That's the main
thing I want to smooth out in there. So, okay.
Maybe when we're done streaming here, like when we're done recording the podcast, I'm going to stream some Majora's Mask, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
I really do like that game. But, I mean, yeah, as long as there are people who are, like, totally, like, in a nostalgia haze, which will probably be always, there's going to be remakes and stuff. I guess the lineup you listed, like, none of those are really tickling my fancy. Like, are you excited about Mighty Number 9? Because Mega Man and all that? Like, you're a big Mega Man fan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you like, yeah, Inafune, awesome.
I do like Inafune, but
yeah, I
don't know. I'm very much on a game-by-game basis right now. I'm no longer like, I'm going to buy into this hype. I got to wait to see who's like, people who I respect their opinion, what they say about something first.
Right.
Because I just don't want to buy $60 games anymore. Like, blind. I don't want to do that just because dude made it. I got burned so many times doing that. No longer. Can't do it. So
I guess, yeah, the list of, like, publishers that I will trust on that front is very small now. And, like, some of them, it does take some convincing. So I guess that's why reviews still exist. It's like, well,
I don't trust Rockstar, honestly. The reason why I finally got it is because I didn't listen to anybody that was just like, yeah, misogyny 9 out of 10 sort of thing, and, like, citing reviews. I listened to people that bought the game, said they played for a few hours, and what they liked about it.
Okay.
And I was just like, that does sound like fun. Like, when you were just like, it's basically like, what the hell did you compare it to? I can't remember.
It's a big open world crime thing. I don't...
Like Beverly Hills Cop or whatever?
Oh, yeah, the tone of, like, the weird comedy aspect to it.
That's all you had to say, that I'm like, that sounds interesting to me now. Like,
okay.
It's just stuff like that. That's like, I know now
I guess
what
I
the
didn't.
feel of it is, but
Yeah, I didn't do my like rundown of movies that it seems to be tapping into, but like Analyze This was one of them. Where it's just like this almost seems like a joke.
because of like the very beginning where Michael's talking to his therapist.
Well, there's a lot of therapist jokes, and it's just
Okay.
like I've seen this before with a, or like I guess Sopranos too has him in therapy for a lot of it, but it's just kind of like all of that stuff has kind of a weird tone to it. But anyway, yeah.
Let's get back to the question, I guess. They will still make remakes or whatever. I'm probably not very interested in myself, and I'm okay with the remakes as long as it's not like the company, like Gameloft or something, making a remake of a game with a different name or something because they want to make money. That's gross.
Yeah. No, like sometimes it goes weird, like GoldenEye Rogue Agent or whatever, where it's just tapping into the name of GoldenEye, but it's not actually in any way about that original game.
Yeah.
Like, there's people trying to take advantage of nostalgia too. Like that's totally a thing as well. But when it's done right, like I guess as long as you kind of, maybe my one caution would be like I don't like slaves to tradition. Like if it's just like, well, we're gonna do an HD, like we're gonna do a remake of this, but we're also gonna like be sure not to change it at all because it was perfect in its original form. Like if sometimes that's fine, but sometimes that's not true at all. Like it's just like, no, the original game's actually really bad. Like, let's not kid ourselves. Like, this is an old, kind of crappy game that is only this way because of the hardware of the time, Like, it was constrained because of the practicalities of the day. So don't be afraid to kind of make it better if you can. Which maybe that was what the DuckTales remastered people were doing in their minds when they put all the story scenes in there and stuff, but I don't know. Maybe that is worth, like, maybe it's like, hey, well, at least they tried. Best case scenario, it wasn't going to be much better than that anyway, so.
Yeah.
I'm kind of, but whatever. Yeah.
Okay, so next we got from Tony Pompicelli, also known as Zeta Shade. So,
all right.
Hold on, I'm just looking for it. Here it is, okay.
Recently, the release of Grand Theft Auto 5 netted an impressively jaw-dropping $800 million in its first day of availability, making it the highest software launch ever. Notably, games that tend to make a significant amount of money in their opening window of release tend to share in one trait. Either the game is an M-rated affair geared toward more mature audiences due to its violent content, or it's an E-rated game that pulls in a significant audience due to its accessibility, popularity, or even additional physical content used to enhance the game. Where does this leave the games that are kind of in that middle road, that T-rated game, so to speak? And more importantly, what do you think it would take for a title in that area to receive widespread acclaim, popularity, and or sales on a widely recognized level like some of the industry's other big-name titles?
I'm trying to think. Like, I'm assuming he's talking like Wii Sports kind of stuff for the massive sensation E-rated game.
Yeah, the E-rated game that's like parents feel okay buying it for their kids and maybe playing with them, and adults also feel okay with it because it's still a solid game. Like Skylanders, maybe?
Yeah, or like I'm thinking New Super Mario Brothers Wii is one of the
like
top
any
10
Nintendo game, really.
Well, yeah, but just like that was one of the top games of all time, kind of numbers,
Sure.
right? In terms of like budget though, like nothing costs as much as this game did, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, $265 million budget, I guess, is also like, it made $800 million, but it costs a lot. And the second highest like budget game ever is Grand Theft Auto 4 at like $100 million. So I don't know. It's kind of Rockstar is alone in that category of spending that much money.
I think what he's talking about though is like
the earnings,
the E-rated games, like everybody can play. E for everyone. There's a reason why they call it that. The more like graphic, weird kind of games adults get into because it's like this is a game made for us. So it's more like everyone above this age or whatever loves this game because it maybe deals with real world situations in a highly like stylized or gory way or whatever. Like it doesn't really matter how, but like there's some mature content in there, and then of course like younger generations and stuff also want to play it because the adults are talking about it and it looks cool to them too.
Mhm.
But like, what about those games that are just kind of middling in the middle, where it's like rated T because there's like side boob, but there's not going to be like.
It's kind of weird. Like video game stuff, I'm trying to think of like noteworthy T-rated games, and the ones I'm thinking of are Arkham Asylum and Arkham City.
Okay.
Which are successful T games, but I guess I'm assuming the reason they're T is the license holder, like DC, doesn't want Batman straight up like ganking people, or just like when he hits this guy, like there's a giant blood splash or whatever. Like they're kind of being limited maybe a bit by the license.
You can say any comic book game, really.
Yeah, like none of them go super hardcore on the violence, but they still manage to convey a lot of the dark tone and stuff just with their environments and whatever. So I didn't feel that game was hindered in any way by the fact that it was a T-rated game in terms of what they were doing with their story. Like that seemed to fit Batman to me. Is that fair? Like, did you feel the same way?
Yeah.
But so that is like one of the few where it's just like this is teen, but still kind of appealing to the correct people, so it can be a success. In terms of like, if you go kind of like a shooter or something that is rated teen, at some point it's like, well, this just seems like it's been censored or something. Like it's not honest about it. Like it's like if you're shooting a person, like it shouldn't be this not. So this is just kind of weird. Like that's at least where I kind of feel on some of that stuff. Like there's not a lot of examples though. Like Time Splitters was M, right? No, wait.
I can't remember.
I think it was. Yeah. At least I know Future Perfect was. But I don't know. Every now and then a shooter will come out that is teen, but like kind of feel weird for being that way. Like it's just like some of the Ghost Recon games I think might have been some of the earlier ones. Like where it's just kind of like it makes it weirdly detached, and that's almost makes it more disturbing to me sometimes. When it's like this is like sanitized violence to the point where it's like no longer conveying what violence is, so it's kind of creepy. I'm not saying that's like me. That's not why does this not hit with the masses, but maybe there's some element of that too. Like it's kind of held back in a way. It's restrained.
I'm going to say that like the way teen-rated games or whatever can get the same notoriety is simply the way that the E-rated and the M-rated and up and stuff do. Just make a decent game and make sure that the context of what you're doing in the game, the story, like what's going on, fits with the rating. So like the stuff in GTA, whatever. Yeah. Like when you go M-rated, it's easier to get away with anything. Really? So it's just
far too, like all the time they're trying to. Like there's anyway, I can't get into some of the specific stuff, but there's some messed up stuff in that game, dude.
I heard waterboarding.
Yeah, okay. There's a torture scene. I was dancing around that, but there's a pretty elaborate torture sequence in it. Which
so yeah, just make good content. I think that's the way they get around it.
Wasn't Smash Brothers teen?
Yeah, that the chat was saying Super Smash Brothers Brawl, I think, or whatever was teen.
Yeah, so that's another kind of high-profile teen game, but again, Nintendo. So
Nintendo, yeah.
So I guess Nintendo, that's as dark as they ever go, is teen. So
basically, be Nintendo, and you can do it.
Nintendo, or I guess Rocksteady. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't think that's like fair to kind of apply that as a general rule, though. It's just that seems to be just kind of the way it's gone, because a lot of games are M, and a lot of kid-friendly games are obviously E, because they don't want to alienate those people. So teen is kind of the weird middle ground just by the nature of where it is. I guess also I was just thinking of Elder Scrolls. Like 4 was teen, but then it was bumped up to an M after like a re-rating. I don't know if you remember that.
I do, yeah.
Like that was kind of like a weird thing where it was like a low M game then, I guess. Like it was barely M, but that was just enough. But that was a big breakout hit for Bethesda too, right? Like that was their highest selling game up to that point. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't think the letter on the box necessarily moves copies or stops them. Like does someone actually go into a store and goes like, "Oh, it's rated teen"? Nah, forget it. I don't want to play that.
No, I don't think so, but it does limit what the people can put in it.
Mm-hmm.
like the developers or whatever, what they can put in it, and I think that's what limits how those sell, because they're not appealing to everybody, and they're
Now
not
I'm like,
able to go full out. So
now I'm just wondering like what the percentage is. Like it's like of the percentage of M-rated games that come out in a year, what number of those are big hits? Like what percentage of teen-rated games that come out in a year? Like I'm almost willing to wager like there's not as many teen-rated games out there, just in general.
like in general, yeah.
Yeah, like I kind of want to look on my shelf and do like an informal survey at some point. But I guess E10 Plus makes it kind of weird too. Why does that exist? Why does that need to exist?
Yeah, I don't think it does.
Like it's weird, kind of like, well, my kid is 10, so I want to know whether or not this is appropriate for him.
It's a 3-year demographic.
Yeah, like at some point, like I just kind of periodically encounter like really weird overprotective parenting, and it's just like I don't know what to do. Like you should probably just be more involved in what they're doing.
Especially since you worked at an EB Games store.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm sure you dealt with that a lot.
Well, like, it's easy to kind of just be like, ma'am, this game is rated M for, like, these reasons. You probably shouldn't buy it for this kid or whatever. Like, that was an easy explanation. But, like, once it got to, like, teen and, like, young kids and whatever, like, it became kind of a weird thing. Like, and you do start to realize there's not a lot of games that are really appropriate for, like, really young kids because they might need to read. So it's like, oh, the game doesn't really explain how to do anything unless you can read. So I don't know what to tell you. Like almost all the time, it's just like, I don't know, Mario. That became like the recommendation. So, and that's kind of hard to explain because it's like the most expensive game on the shelf there, right? Like it's like the Nintendo DS wall. It's like $40 and everything else is like 10 or 15. You're like, no, it's the best one.
It's
like,
the best.
It's the best. Yeah, sorry, you know, it's way more interesting than the Imagine, like, fashion designer games or whatever, but it's actually a good game, so...
Well, excuse me, princess.
Yeah.
There you go. It's the best.
You kind of have to say that to a lot of parents when you're working in video game retail, so...
I bet. Okay, so last voicemail from Albus.
So I was wondering, how did you guys get the idea to create Pixel Response? Was it a college dream, or even high school, or had you guys planned it for weeks to make it? Just curious.
I'll tell you the story.
Okay.
I had a blog. That was it. No, but seriously, back in college, we had to do. I was part of a media arts and digital technologies class, and you had to keep a blog for the stuff you were doing, like an arts blog, and like the different stuff you were interested in digital technologies and stuff. And I found myself writing a lot about the Nintendo Revolution, because that was around that time when that was like announced.
Yeah.
Revolution before it was the Wii. And like what else was going on?
Helmet, remember that?
Yeah, like there's just a bunch of weird video game stuff happening at that time.
Yeah.
And like the PS3 was a thing that I was like playing and knew and stuff. So I started going to like Destructoid a lot and different websites like that. And I just found myself writing more and more about video games specifically, and then every now and then a movie that I had seen or like some weird internet stuff. And that was my blog at the time, and it just became a thing that slowly grew into like, oh, me and a bunch of friends at the time like would write on the blog as well, and then they kind of ditched out, and then this whole thing kind of died a little bit, and then I was just like, hey, this guy on Top Down Perspective likes to talk a lot. I bet we could talk about stuff.
And it became like mostly movies, I guess, if you go far enough back, because there were a lot of times where I'd like bring up Nicolas Cage or something during Top Down Perspective, and it just didn't fit.
But
So
that's
like,
why I was just like, this guy right here.
yeah, it's like, I need to bring this message to the people, and
About
this
Nicolas
guy's
Cage.
willing to facilitate this, so this is great. This is a partnership. And yeah, and for a while I would like write preview stuff, like at PAX or something. Didn't I write about Duke Nukem?
Yes. No, you wrote a bunch of stuff. You wrote about Duke Nukem, I think Killzone or Resistance, one of those shooters.
Oh yeah, no, I think it was Killzone 3 maybe because I played it in 3D and I had impressions of that. I don't know, but I didn't play much Resistance. I don't know, but whatever. Yeah, so I wasn't sure what exactly we were doing for a while, but now it's kind of just games talk, but with more trash talking. I don't know. Well, because I don't know. I always feel like maybe people don't like a lot of time on top down perspective. Like no one has played the game I've played, so I'm just kind of talking to nobody.
Okay.
You know? So it's just kind of like, yeah, I played this game. Have you played it? No. What about you? No. Okay. And then I get pretty self-conscious about monologuing over there because it's kind of got a more prescribed program. You know, like
Right.
It's like, well, we got to get to these news stories. You know, we got to get to the email section. So I kind of hold back a lot on like some thoughts there. So this is more of a free form.
So does it help when like you're talking about a game and then I will purposefully just like disagree with you to get other ideas going?
Well, at least, yeah, any kind of like response, be it a rebuttal or something, gives me something to work with to like think through what I feel about the game. Because sometimes, a lot of time, I don't know. Like I just played it. Like 2 years from now, I might be like, man, I don't know anymore. This has a lot of writing problems. But in the heat of the moment, I'm still kind of figuring it out. So sure. It helps to have any kind of like, interest in the game I'm talking about.
Sure.
So yes, thanks, Paul. Thanks for doing that.
No problem.
And yeah, sorry I'm not more like keyed into the Dota sphere or whatever. Like I'm running out of material for that.
Oh, no, I don't care about that. There's other stuff in the works for that.
Okay.
Yeah. But like I don't know, that there is a weird difference there because it's like I will argue with you about stuff I agree with you on. Because I want to hear how you deal with the argument and like what you say and whether or not I even agree with you. So it's like I'm arguing with myself when I agree with you on stuff. So it's fun that way. But
yeah, I feel it has a
fish in a way that you could talk more about MMOs or like MOBAs and other stuff I'm interested in because I think you would have interesting opinions on them. But if you don't like them, then like I'm not going to make you play through 100 hours of Dota to get to a point where you have an opinion.
I mean, it's still like the only MMO out right now that I'm remotely interested in checking out is probably Old Republic, but I'm still just like, I don't think I'll have fun. I don't know. Like,
I don't think I will either.
Will my BioWare / Star Wars enthusiasm make this somehow rewarding, or will I just be like, man, I'm just grinding all over, just getting robot parts or whatever the hell they make you do. Like, I'm a little trepidatious to say the least, but also it's like a 20 gig download.
Yeah.
So overnight, leave that on. I don't know, but yeah, that there's certain genres that just don't click with me, and I've tried. Like I think it's like I've tried a bunch of them just to make sure, and it's always possible like one will come along that gets it right for me. Like, I guess the example I keep going back to is like I didn't give a damn about football games, but then NFL 2K5 made it awesome because of the franchise mode. Like you get your own kind of clubhouse that you get to decorate and just kind of hang out after you win games and stuff. Like it just gave it a framework that made it awesome to me. Like I'm just like, yeah, I'm the coach. I'm gonna get the Detroit Lions to the Super Bowl, and I did, and it was awesome. But, you know, that was the one time. Like, a lot of racing games, like, every now and then one works. A lot of them don't.
Yep, I agree with you.
Yeah, like, I don't know. So, I keep looking at genres and hoping they kind of come to a point where I can get into them, but a lot of the times it just doesn't work out. So, yeah, Minecraft 2, where is it? Work on that, Notch. Fix that shit. Your game's not very good.
He is fixing it. Every time I try to log into it, there's an update.
Maybe I should play the new one, and maybe it's more what I want now. Man, I was there like early.
Mode and stuff. But like, there's adventure maps and stuff other people do, and those are fantastic.
Okay. Like,
yeah.
Maybe there's a good thing in there. Like, or you gave me Gary's mod, and I've been avoiding Gary's mod for years because it just looks like a mess.
But you know what Gary's mod is? I thought for the longest time it was just that sandbox mode. It's
Okay.
basically a way to use like assets from Source for like your own games. So the one I want to play is called Trouble in Terrorist Town.
Okay.
And it's basically just like manipulating everybody you're playing with, because there's a traitor or traitors, and there's a detective or detectives, and innocents. So it's just like the traitors are trying to kill everybody, basically, right? And like everyone else is trying to find out who the terrorists are or the traitors or whatever and take them out. So like you have to be secretive and like just kind of a jerk, and it's awesome. So good.
Is it hard to make games in it too, or is it?
I honestly don't know.
Okay, is it?
I don't think it's hard to make anything with the Steam Workshop. Like if you have know-how in whatever programs you're using.
Okay, but you can rearrange assets and kind of make little rules and stuff and make a game.
Yeah, something like that, I guess.
I don't know. Okay, but all right. I have some of the components necessary to play that, but I guess I also need Half-Life 2 and Counter-Strike Source.
Do you not have those?
Not installed.
Yeah, I had that problem too, and everything had the missing textures.
Yeah, so I've downloaded Gary's mod itself, but I still need to get other stuff to have it all. So that'll happen eventually, but okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so thanks for sending us voicemails again. The tab on the right of the site?
You know what? Let's let someone else explain for us.
Got a question or comment for the show? You can email us at podcast@pixelresponse.com or leave a voicemail using the voicemail feature on the right side of the main page. On Twitter, you can reach Nathan at Krasnor and Paul at Exposure. Be sure to check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/thepixelresponse and visit pixelresponse.com for more.
Love that jazz.
Yeah. I didn't even hear the email address in there, but I guess dash?
It's the very first thing. Yeah. Dash.
Oh, okay. Pixel dash response. So remember that when taking that message to heart. But yeah, thanks for joining us in late September. Sorry if I went on about a giant video game that came out, but as the voicemail said, like $800 million, it's actually over $1 billion now already. So it's kind of the biggest thing going on the entire planet right now. So I think it was worth talking about.
I think so. You might be right on this one. I don't think I'm going to disagree with you this time.
Yeah, I mean, Syria is kind of a big deal, but come on.
Yeah. Come on, guys.
Yeah, I was dismissive of a real world situation.
Yeah.
Video
See you guys later.
Bye. Chemical weapons.